Hi, Lee Phillips here. Yeah, I'm still a lawyer. Don't hold that against me. I'm okay. You don't have to wash your hands, nothing like that. I want to talk to you for a minute about, does your living revocable trust need a tax ID number? And there are trusts that do need tax ID numbers. I mean, they file a 1041, but they're always going to be an irrevocable trust. The trust that you have for estate planning is a revocable trust. Your land trust is a revocable trust. And the IRS basically says if it's revocable, it's you. Because you can revoke it, get it back at any time. So we're going to treat it as you, and you're going to pay the taxes on it. That means that your standard living revocable trust does not need a tax ID number. You don't have to apply for an EIN, an employee identification number. You don't have to do any of that crap. You use your social security number. Now, if I've got a husband and wife and I've got a living trust, use one or the other. If I use the husband's and he dies, I got to go down to the bank and change it to hers. But until the trust becomes irrevocable, which it will when both of you die, we do not need a tax ID number. And in the early years, in the early 80s, living revocable trusts weren't that well known. And I was doing a lot of living revocable trusts, and I had to go down to the bank and help out my client. I'd go down and argue with the bank. No, you don't need a tax ID number. It's just the client's social security number. That's what the IRS says they want. COVID. Don't like it. But we have the social security number. You file your 1040. Your trust will say that everything has to be paid out at least annually. That means not that you transfer money out of your bank account to another bank account that you own. Paid out means you recognize it as your income. The trust, when it pays it out, gets a tax deduction for it. So we're zeroing out your trust's income by having you take it into your income. And you file your 1040 just like you always did. The bank reports its 199R or whatever it is, and you just have that on your social security number, even though your trust is the owner of your bank account. Now, you're going to argue with them. And I had a case number of years ago. I did a trust for a doctor in Virginia. And she had her credit union. And the credit union insisted on a tax ID number. I called the credit union. I talked to them. No, we got to have a tax ID number. I finally said, lady, are you married to this credit union? And she said, no. And I said, good. And then take your money, go down the street to the next bank, and put your money in the next bank. They won't ask for a tax ID number. They'll take your social security number, which is exactly what she did. She had no problem with the second bank. And she moved $3 million out of the credit union. Somebody in the credit union needs to be fired because you do not need a tax ID number. I have an ebook. I'll give it to you, okay? Just click on the link or whatever you do. And it's how to use a living trust. And we go through stuff like this in that ebook. It's well written, you'll like it. So get the ebook and learn how to use your living revocable trust. But you do not need a tax ID number, even if the bank says you need a tax ID number. Now, when mom and dad die, then the trust is going to become irrevocable, and your heirs, your kids, are going to have to get a tax ID number and file a 1041 form and go through all of this until the trust is wound up. My trust won't be wound up for years because I have investment real estate. And I say, kids, don't sell the investment real estate. keep renting it, get the income. So my trust could go on for years, and the kids will have to file a 1041. They'll pay all the money out every year so that the trust doesn't actually pay the tax. And you don't want your trust to pay the tax because the tax rates on a trust are hellacious. Don't forget to subscribe, and don't get a tax ID number for your living revocable trust. Lee Phillips talking about tax ID numbers for trusts.